Hey Soul Healers, it's DJ Lee, your emotional intelligent bestie, and welcome back to my channel. By the title of this video, you probably know what we're talking about today. Yeah, we are talking about Ginny and Georgia. Not just about the show, but the weird personal attachment I grew to the show. More than most people, and more than I ever expected. And honestly, probably more than I was prepared to admit today. So let's talk about it. So let's start here. When Ginny and Georgia first came out, I wasn't one of those fans that watched it from day one. I kind of found the show maybe like a week or two after it initially came out on Netflix. I actually watched it randomly one night. I just needed something loud in the background, something to distract me, something to like get my mind off of things. This was when I was in grad school and things were probably getting really stressful in my life. So when I clicked on the show, I was like, cool. I found something that's light. It's a little bit messy. It's probably going to be a little bit dramatic, and it's going to get my mind off of some crazy stuff that's happening in my life right now. Instead of disconnecting from the world, I ended up connecting to the characters in their world, which is just a really weird thing for me to do with characters from a show. Now look, I love a good TV character, but Ginny and George's characters are just one of a kind, personally, in my vision. You know, we have some of my favorite characters. We have Ginny, we have Georgia, we have Marcus, and we have Max. And these characters I just listed off weren't just characters to me. They felt really real to me and personally to my life. And they hit the inner child in me. They hit the inner teenager in me, and even hit the inner adult in me, my young adult up into now. So first, I really want to talk about Ginny, probably the character that I related most to. With Ginny, I know what it feels like to be a mixed kid, a kid of color, navigating spaces where you're trying to belong but constantly feel misunderstood. The perfectionism, the self-doubt, the weight of trying too hard or not feeling good enough for anyone. Yeah, that's really hard. The minute that I saw Ginny on my screen, I knew that I may or may not like this character, but I know that I'm going to relate to this character so much, and it's going to hit parts of me that I'm not ready to kind of think about or reflect on. And there were some things that kind of happened through the show that made me realize that, oh dang, like it does suck to be like a mixed kid and kind of figuring out how to navigate through this world and navigate through a world where you're mostly surrounded by white people. Second, I want to talk about Georgia, and I don't even know where to even start with this woman, because this woman is crazy. Georgia is just a very complicated, chaotic, emotionally layered, and impulsive character. But everything she does is ultimately rooted in survival. Now, personally for me, I do come from a mother who is white. And personally for me, I don't have a mom like Georgia, so I can't really talk about what those instincts are like when you finally do have a child, and especially with all the trauma that she grew up with and all the stuff that she went through. I think I do have a somewhat understanding of knowing that once you have kids yourself, you don't want them to go through the same thing, so you would do anything for them and defend them till your dying last breath. But at the same time, it's just kind of crazy to see the things that she's done up until this point. Next, we're going to talk about Marcus. And Marcus, that poor boy, man, he was really going through it. And he really touched my heart in many different ways throughout watching the show. Marcus is this soft, emotionally complex teenage boy who feels things so deeply, but doesn't know how to say them. And I think a lot of males, especially teenage boys, struggle with this. I think a lot of us grew up being told that we shouldn't be Marcus. Personally for me, not to go too much into my own personal life, but I did struggle a lot with depression and my feelings, and I feel like I didn't really belong anywhere. And for a very long time, until, you know, my parents kind of had me at a really young age, just like Georgia had Jenny at a young age and they didn't really know how to support me emotionally because I'm just a very emotionally driven person. And for the longest time, like my dad was just always just like, get over it, don't cry. And I think that has a little bit to do with like Black culture and being a Black male and how you're not supposed to show any type of emotions at all, which is a totally different discussion that we can have another time. But I can feel for Marcus just knowing that like it's kind of taboo for a man or even a young man to have so many feelings, and kind of be looked as weird and not normal and not being able to navigate through the world the way that you want to. And people just always giving you dirty looks and like, how are you supposed to kind of have a normal life that way? And lastly, we're going to talk about Max. Now, Max is probably my favorite character out of the 4 characters that I listed that I'm going to talk about today. And she's just everything that I personally would love in a best friend, and personally of what I would just want in my life in general. And I think she's just like so underrated and not appreciated for her character. Max is loud, expressive, dramatic, and unapologetically herself in a world that constantly tells people, especially queer teens, to tone it down. Max feels everything out loud: joy, heartbreak, excitement, rejection. There's no filter. There's no armor. You know what's really weird about watching Max and watching people tell her that she's over dramatic or she's too much? It really like hurts my feelings because I feel like in a way they're telling her not to be her authentic self, and they're just telling her to like kind of fit in a box or act like everybody else. And that I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's a nice thing to do for someone like herself, who's just really unique and just has a different way of showing herself. Now, I just want to clearly say that I didn't just enjoy the show. Like, I loved the show. Like, I don't know. Like, it was just so different. It's just something that you really haven't seen on TV, like, recently. And I'm just really glad that the creators that created the show, like, went completely outside the box to kind of create a show like this. I'm going to name off some things that I personally like, why I personally like the show, and like some highlights that make the show what it is and why it's so good and why it's loved by many people across the world. The first thing is, it's because I saw parts of myself in different characters. I saw my teenage anxiety in Jenny. I saw my survival mode in Georgia. I saw my emotional softness in Marcus. And I saw my crazy side in Max. And I also saw the friendships I wanted and the friendships I lost. Number 2, the show deals with the things we don't talk about. We talk about depression, trauma, identity, race, belonging, but not in a preachy way, in a human way, in a this could have been me way. Sitting there on my couch, I realized the show wasn't about drama. It was about people trying to be okay while carrying things they never asked for. Sometimes you attach to things because you don't have a place to land yourself. And when Jenny and Georgia came out and I watched this show, like, that was my safe landing. Like, think of like kind of a plane like coming down and landing safely. Like, Jenny and Georgia was my landing platform for myself. Like, it literally made me feel like it was okay to like be me. It was okay to be emotional. It was okay to just be. And I cannot thank the show enough for that. Now, I know people like to clown around or joke around about parasocial relationships, but I would just like you to listen to me just really quickly here. If you like to admit it or not, we all have had parasocial relationships. Whether it's a show, whether it's an album, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's a character in a show, something like this becomes our comfort because we're not accessing these feelings on a daily basis for ourselves in our life. For me, Jenny and Georgia offered several things throughout the show. It offered emotional validation, representation, characters who were flawed but trying, storylines about healing and forgiveness, and honestly, a sense of being seen. And to be very transparent, that's not silly. That's ultimately just being a human being. So I watched the first season of Ginny Georgia about 3 times. Obviously, the third time was to kind of do some research for the video that I am working on right now. And there were some things that I kind of learned through watching the show 3 times. Attachment doesn't always come from love. Sometimes it comes from recognition. I recognize parts of my identity I hadn't explored. I recognize wounds I hadn't healed. I recognize emotions I hadn't given myself permission to feel. And honestly, that's what's so beautiful about shows, about music, about movies. It's art. It's a way to show that we come in different ways. We come in different pieces and we show ourselves in different ways. And it mirrors how sometimes we're feeling without being able to show it ourselves. And I think that's just a beautiful thing through art that a lot of us don't really talk about sometimes. Yeah, I'm not embarrassed to say that I got super attached to Ginny and Georgia, the show, definitely season 1. It definitely got me hooked. There are 3 seasons out right now. I know there's a 4th season coming out soon. So if you haven't seen it, please, 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 please watch it. It is such a great show. If you ever have gotten attached to a TV show, a character, or any other media outlet itself, you're not weird, you're not dramatic, you are ultimately just human. Honestly, I think that's beautifully complicated in the best way, and I know complications are not great in some people's eyes, but it's okay to be beautifully complicated. Like, it doesn't have to be, complication doesn't always have to be something ugly. It could be a very beautiful thing. So that's the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Thank you, Soul Healers, for always coming back to watch my videos. If you have liked my videos and want to watch more of my videos and haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't followed me already on my social medias, I am on Instagram, and now I am currently on TikTok as well. So make sure to follow me on there. Make sure to follow me and see all the content that I come out as your emotional intelligent bestie. If you have already seen Ginny and Georgia, definitely leave a comment down below and tell me who your favorite character is, or a character that you got attached to, and kind of explain why. And I would love to have a conversation with you in the comments down below. Well, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching my video. And as always, keep striving and keep thriving. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.